So my name is Alicia and I am an International Transition Coordinator. And joining me, I also have one of our student staff, or otherwise known as International Student Ambassador, Rashika. So would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hi guys, I'm Rashika Tharani. I'm International Student Ambassador and I am currently working with International Department, and thank you for joining us today.
All right, so what is the Residential Tenancies Act? So this is a law. It's a pretty important law when it comes to your housing security and your protection when you're in a rental unit. So it details the rights and duties of both landlords and tenants. It gives landlords and tenants specific rights and responsibilities, and it provides rules for increasing the rent and for evicting a tenant. So there's certain rules that both the landlord and tenant should be abiding by, and this is detailed in the Residential Tenancies Act, along with many policies which are enforced by the Landlord and Tenant Board, also known as the LTB. So you might be wondering, how would I know if my tenancy is covered by the Residential Tenancies Act or the RTA? How would I know? So this is a really good question. And so here we'll see the golden rule, okay? So the golden rule is that you're not sharing a kitchen and or bathroom with your landlord or the landlord's family member or the person that you pay rent to. So those could all be different people. Also that you're listed on the original lease as a tenant as opposed to an occupant. So those are some really good ways to know whether or not you're covered by the Residential Tenancies Act. So if you do share with your landlord or their family member or the person that you pay rent to, then your tenancy would not be covered. So this might mean that you're subletting or you're room sharing. Both are not covered under the Residential Tenancies Act. But this doesn't mean that you're doomed if that's the case. I would just encourage you to email our international transition team, and that way we can advise you or guide and coach you if you do have a situation that comes up in those cases. Great, so I'm going to turn it over to Rashika to help with question number 1.
So first question is, does the Residential Tenancies Act apply for the following scenario? I live with my landlord and share the kitchen with them, but I have a separate bathroom and pay my rent directly.
Okay, so does the Residential Tenancies Act apply in this situation? So unfortunately, no. If you share a kitchen and or bathroom with the landlord or a member of the landlord's family, you are not covered by the Residential Tenancies Act.
So it's a true or false. So the statement is, a lease or rental tenancy agreement is a legal contract outlining rental terms between a tenant and a landlord. So is it a true or a false?
Okay, yes, so it is true. A lease or residential tenancies agreement is in fact a legal contract outlining the rental terms between a tenant and a landlord. So it's also an acknowledgement of a legal relationship between the landlord and tenant. And so it's very important and very helpful to have the details of the agreement on paper and in writing. It guarantees the tenant the use of the property or the rental unit, and it guarantees the landlord that they're going to get regular payments for the property that they're renting out. And usually it's for a specific amount of time. Typically in Canada, we see like a 1-year lease. However, with student rentals, we do see more shorter terms, such as a 4 or 8-month term. And you know, what you see on the screen here, it's called the standard form of lease. This was brought out in April 30th of 2018. This standard form of lease was put out in an effort to make sure that landlords are only putting items on the lease that are allowed to be there by law. For example, that you can't have visitors. When you're renting a unit under the Residential Tenancies Act, you are in fact allowed to have visitors. The landlord cannot tell you not to have someone come over to visit you.
The question number 3 is, which statement does not belong? My rights as a tenant include all except A, privacy. Notice must be given when my landlord wants to enter the unit. B, security of tenancy. My landlord cannot randomly ask me to leave. C, safe and regularly maintained unit. And D, one free month of rent per year.
So unfortunately, your landlord does not have to give you 1 free month of rent per year. That would be nice though if they did. But you do have the right to your privacy. So, the landlord cannot enter your unit without giving 24 hours notice. They can't monitor you, like I said, and tell you, you can't have guests or you can't have this specific guest. It's simply not something that they're allowed to do. You also have the right to security of tenancy. So your landlord can't ask you to leave the unit and move out for no legitimate reason. So some examples of legitimate reasons why your landlord might be able to ask you to leave would be if you didn't pay the rent, or if you didn't pay all of your rent, you didn't pay it on time, if the unit was damaged by yourself or even a guest, even by accident, or if, of course, there's illegal activity. Those are the types of things that might get you evicted, in addition to, if they want to renovate the unit, or maybe they want to move into the unit, or they want to sell the unit. So those are some other reasons.
Is this statement true or false? If I want to, I can move out anytime without consequence.
False. So if your tenancy is covered under the Residential Tenancies Act, then you must give 60 days notice before you move out. Your last day of tenancy cannot be before the last day of the initial lease term. And if you don't give notice and the tenancy continues, you could be on the hook, or you could be responsible for paying the rent for the unit, even if you're not living there. And usually you should be making your notice on the first day of the month. So it's not typical that you would give a notice, for example, on the 20th of the month. It would always be at the beginning of the month. And if you must move out for some unexpected reason, maybe you have to move home or something like that, something happens as an emergency, then you should always talk to your landlord to see if you can make an agreement to end the tenancy earlier, and then get it in writing so that you're not held responsible for the remainder of the term.